So Saturday, I got the opportunity to go and pray with some great men of God down at a church in Macon, Georgia. And I was invited by a friend of mine who is now working there as their youth minister and music minister. And there were just four of us. There was myself, my friend, another friend of ours who serves at that church, and the pastor. And what they do at this church on Saturday mornings is they have the church members throughout the week take these prayer cards and write down their name, or they can be anonymous or whatever, but they write down their specific requests. And then they lay the cards across the altar. And then the leadership of the church comes in and they pray over these requests individually. And so that's what we did. And I was honored, humbled really, to be a part of that. So I'm walking across the front of the sanctuary, and I'm walking, card by card across the altar and pray for each individual person, each individual need. And after a certain amount of time had passed, the pastor began to lead us in prayer. And he started it off by saying this. He said, the disciples came to Jesus and they said, teach us how to pray. And Jesus said, when you pray, pray like this. Now, he wasn't saying pray these exact words, but when you pray, pray like this. And he began to speak these words. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Now, you've probably heard that before. I know I've heard that a million times in my life before, and we refer to that as the Lord's Prayer. But it was Jesus's framework for prayer. There's acknowledgement and adoration and asking for requests. And this pastor is laying these things out piece by piece. He's breaking the prayer up into chunks, and we're praying specific things at specific times. And then he gets to this part, and I wasn't quite ready for this part, to be honest. Because he gets to this part, and it says, forgive us our trespasses, meaning, forgive me, God, when I screw up, all right? Forgive me. And I'm cool with that aspect of things, right? I'm cool with God forgiving me when I screw up. But that's not the end of that statement. It says, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. It's an equal measure situation. Do you understand that? God, forgive me as much as I forgive others. God, give me the same amount of forgiveness that I'm offering to other people. I don't like that. I didn't like that, honestly, to hear it and to think about it and really wrap your mind around it, because as a human, I'm selfish. I want to be forgiven, but I don't want to forgive. I don't want to forgive. And we're praying at this point. And we've gotten to this point, and I'm in tears. I'm not sure if they were tears of sadness or anger or what, but I was sitting there in tears, and I was saying, God, I don't want to. I don't want to, because I didn't have the mind of Christ in this, okay? There are people in my life that I did not want to forgive. There were people in my life that I thought didn't deserve my forgiveness for what they'd done to me. And I began to realize, and God began to speak to me in this moment. And he said to me, Drew, if anyone understands what it feels like to be betrayed by everyone he loves, to have the people that he depends on and leans on the most in the world turn their back on him. If anyone understands how that feels, I do. They all betrayed me, Drew. They all turned their back on me. And they drugged me out to die. And they left me alone to die. And even in the midst of my dying and my punishment for something I didn't even do, Drew, I was more concerned with forgiving them. I was more concerned with their welfare than I was with my own. And that's why I cried out for their forgiveness for what they were doing. And then he said to me, and how many times, Drew? How many times? Can you even remember? Do you even have a concept? Have you ever even sat down to try and keep count of how many times you have betrayed me, turned your back on me, taken my love and my grace and my mercy and thrown it aside and spit in my face? And yet every time you say, I'm sorry, please take me back, I take you back. I forgive you. And he said, so let me ask you really quick here, Drew. Are you holier than me? And I am openly weeping at this point. I'm openly weeping. And I say, okay, God. Okay. And something happened to me on Saturday. And I'm going to tell you what that was. I was set free on Saturday from the bondage of the past couple of months of my life, of unforgiveness and anger and bitterness and hatred. I was set free. And I don't know who'll see this video, but if you're seeing this video, I want you to know that if you are one of those people who may or may not have hurt me, I'm not going to call out names or say anything like that because I don't think that's important. I just want you to know I forgive you. I want you to know that there is no bitterness from me to you. This doesn't mean that I approve of what was done. This doesn't mean that I condone any of it. And it doesn't mean that I'm trying to rebuild a relationship, because I'm not. I'm simply telling you, I forgive you. And if there's anything that I've done as an offense to you, I pray that you will find it in your heart to forgive me, not for my benefit. I'm free, but for your benefit, for your freedom, so that you can be clear from bitterness and anger towards me or anyone else in your life. Forgiveness is a powerful thing, and I found it Saturday. And here's the beautiful thing about it. Beautiful and difficult at the same time, is that forgiveness is not just a one-time event. It's a choice I have to make, and it's a choice I might have to make every single day to say, I forgive this person. And if something comes up or someone says something or I read something and it brings back up old feelings and tensions, I have to remind myself I've forgiven them and I will not hold it against them anymore. Guys, as believers, the time has come for us to stop quarreling amongst ourselves and stop hating ourselves so much and stop warring in our own congregations and our own denominations and our own faith, and stand together united and say, you know what? These things that happened between us, these personal things that happened between us, do not matter anymore. What matters is Jesus Christ. What matters is the building of the kingdom. And we've got to put that as the forefront of our lives. And if it's not the forefront of our lives, and if it's not the forefront of our ministries are destined and doomed to failure. Forgiveness, guys. Forgiveness is huge. And we've got to practice it. And I'm learning to practice it. Thank God. I have learned the power of letting go. And I pray to all those listening that you will learn the power letting go.